Welcome, everybody. It's Christine here. And I am so excited for the interview today, for the time with my special guest. She has a great story that is one that needs to be heard, and her journey is one that I believe is absolutely going to inspire you in your life. So let me introduce her. I would like to introduce you to Sue Paulson. And after thriving after a near-death experience in 2007 and 2 bouts of cancer in 2011 and 2012, Sue Paulson is dedicated to inspiring others to discover and live their magnificence. I love that. Just that, wow, what a story. I can't wait to dive in. At a tender age of 28, Sue found her passion at the front of the room, teaching personal growth. Opportunities followed as a corporate trainer and then as a university instructor. Each of those experiences provided her with more tools for center stage. As she grew both personally and professionally, her desire to help others also grew. Bridging the world between fear and love, Sue encourages those she touches to become their own best friends. Love that. Through her own adversity and many life experiences, Sue brings light to the darkness surrounding us and compels us to move toward a life of joy and ecstasy. I love that word. Can't wait to hear more about ecstasy. More than a remarkable voice of her generation, Sue delights her audiences with wisdom, compassion, and a quirky wit, which I think we're going to get to experience a little bit today. An award-winning author, she has written 3 books. That is impressive, just that in and of itself. The latest is her memoir, Magnificent Misery, From Adversity to Ecstasy. Her current manuscript, The Healing Call of Cancer, is scheduled to release soon. So we have that in common, Sue, the cancer story. And Sue is a delighted new grandmother of twin girls, and she currently lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So Sue, welcome to this inspiring, empowering talk that I know we're gonna have, conversation we're gonna have. I'm so grateful that you're here with me today.
Oh, Christine, this is going to be such fun. I've looked forward to this for a while now. So I'm so glad we get to do this today.
Great.
And of course, it's Frivolicious Friday. So how frivolicious is that?
Frivolicious. I love that. So many things to celebrate, right?
Yes.
And whether it's a day of the week, it's a time to connect with a new friend and dive deep into our lives and our messages, or anything else. Excuse me. I better take a sip here. We're grateful to be here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I get all amped up when I read somebody's story, and yours certainly has a lot of twists and turns. So before I dive, well, we've chatted prior to this, and there's a list of questions. And certainly I can imagine your story, as along with the ups and the downs and the health challenges and the near-death experience. I would assume that out of that has come a lot of wisdom and an inner connection with our connection with that inner voice, and whether you call it your heart or your soul. And certainly the story of Magnificence is saying something to me, that you've really connected back in with your true essence to listen to what's calling to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to dive in, and I'm open to this being a fluid conversation around the questions I have, but I really would love for our viewers and our listeners to understand a bit about what is something that's called to you as a result of your life journey. And what are you doing in your life, to bring that calling to life? Or what are you doing to bring that calling to life? And you can
Sure.
talk about something current or maybe something that was like that pivotal first step, wherever you want to go with us.
Well, it's interesting that I felt at quite a young age, probably maybe 8 or 9, that there had to be more. There had to be more to me, and there had to be more
Mm.
to what I was doing in the world. And it was just kind of a passing thought at that time, which I think is kind of unusual for
Yeah,
that
8 or 9.
age.
I took the dirt and the neighborhood kids at 8 and 9.
And so I mean, it probably helped that we lived on a farm and I had lots of solitary time to cloud gaze and sky gaze and contemplate my navel and read and so on. So um, it was interesting that I stumbled into taking a personal growth course when I was 24. And it just opened up a world. And all of a sudden, I discovered that I was a real person in my own right. Now, that sounds odd, maybe to say, but at the time, I just believed that I was on planet Earth to look after other people, and what I wanted or what was important to me didn't matter because that wasn't the deal. The deal was, well, you're here now, just get with it and look after everybody, and that's going to be your ticket to heaven. It's kind of the upbringing. So when I discovered I was this person in my own right, and I started to uncover more of that. So I went from total unawareness of me as an individual entity who had value and thoughts and ideas and was allowed to, then I just kept growing. So I became a total growth junkie, I have to say.
Mm,
Yes, over the
I
years.
resonate with that.
Oh my goodness. And I was just thirsty and hungry all the time for things that I could use that would help me figure out what made me tick.
Mm.
And of course, then I became totally fascinated with what made other people tick as well. And so life had its twists and turns. I'm not a roller coaster fan at all. And I went on Space Mountain once under great duress. And my family said, okay, Mom, we won't make you ever do that
Um,
again. And so, but what's so fascinating to me is that the roller coaster of life has been just far more scary and loop-de-loop than any physical roller coaster out there.
that's,
So I haven't missed much in
yeah.
that arena. And as I've grown, I've come to, through my experiences, understand the magnificence of every individual. Not just understand, but to feel it at heart level, that this is a piece that we've been missing. Because so much of the time in my growth process, it was like a self-improvement project. Like, well, I just didn't quite measure up, so if only I did this, and well, what about this, and then what about this? Well, the trouble is, I was starting from a position of lack.
Mm.
Well, there, there's no winning in that, because every time you reach what you think is going to be the goalpost, it moves, and then there's another one, and so fulfillment is not really possible. So I began over the last maybe 2, 3 years entertaining the notion of, what if we started from magnificence? What if we could begin to embrace the idea that we're born that way? And then, okay, what am I going to do with that then?
Mm.
If I'm that powerful, talented, rich, just like everybody is, I mean, we're all magnificent. There's nobody left out of this equation. We come
Right.
in that way. Well, then what could we do if we weren't spending all our energy trying to measure up or live up to other people's expectations or whatever? What if we were able to do what comes naturally to us, our talents, our beauty, our whatever? Well, that to me is heaven on earth, right?
So what prompted you, or what were maybe some of those precursor events or shifts that that supported you having this inquiry of the magnificence of everybody. Tell us a little bit about what led you to that.
Sure. Well, it started with the near-death experience I had in 2007. I ended up in emergency surgery, and um, when I was in recovery, I had this knowingness that I had been somewhere else.
Mm.
And so when you're bathed in a sea of total bliss, acceptance, unconditional love, it's a big shift.
Yeah.
And that was where I first got the glimmering that I deserved a chair at the banquet table
Mm.
with my name on it, not because of anything I had done, just because I existed. Well, I'm going, what? You mean I didn't have to do all the stuff to get here? I already had a chair.
Yeah,
I
that's
just had to pull it out and sit down. Oh my goodness. And so that turned my world upside down. And for a while I was lost. Like I went into kind of a dark place because
mm,
I couldn't make sense of everything up to that point. I was 57 at the time. Well, so for a lot of years I had
yeah.
strived and fought and tried everything to measure up, and the message was, you are so loved
Mm.
just as you are, just because you're here. And I'm going, I don't know what to do with that.
You're right. You're fighting all those years of conditioning, and it just there's a disconnect. And I can absolutely I feel because I was there too at one point, that sense of being lost and of being like you don't even know where to turn almost
No,
at one
no,
point. Yeah, yeah,
no, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And so I struggled. I pretended I was okay for about 4 years, and then cancer hit.
Ah,
Well, that, um, it's interesting that I think in some ways the near death experience prepared me in an odd kind of way because I didn't fear death anymore. And
mm.
so when cancer hit, I thought, oh, well, I don't think it's my time to go. But if it is, I know where I'm going, and it's pretty cool.
I love it. I love
So
it.
that would be a win.
Yeah, yeah. So did having the cancer diagnosis then and your journey of going through that and healing from that help you to start to make sense of this new knowing that was presented to you in the near death experience?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It took, once I got through um, the fear and the denial and then the physical onslaught of the treatments and so on, and got to a place where I not only was physically healing, but then it was time to do the inner work,
Mm.
because I knew that there was a point at which this cancer didn't come to me for no reason. And I wanted to find out what that was all about.
Mhm.
And so as a result of all of that, I began to tap into, it wasn't that I didn't have the messages all around me. I'd heard other people talk about magnificence, and I'd heard people talk about heaven on earth, but it didn't sink in. It didn't attach to me until I started really, let's face it, when you're living a kind of hell and you get out of that, then you start paying more attention to, well, what if we could create our own brand of heaven on earth? Well, what would that look like? Who would we be and how would we be, and all of those kinds of things. So the more I got into that notion, the more that resonated with me. And I thought, well, I wonder if other people might want to know about this.
Yeah, I love it.
So
Love it.
it gave me, I think, a hugely enriched focus on the work that I'd been doing with people before, because I'd always been working with some facet of personal growth when I was doing professional development work with staff and so on, there's always a complaint because you bring yourself to work, let's face it.
Sure.
And but this has enabled me to really get deeper
Okay.
into the
Sounds like,
whole, yeah,
yeah.
and all the pieces seem to kind of fit together in
Mm-hmm.
a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So of course the vehicle has become for me right now, and I guess in light of our worldwide situation, it's a good thing, is my new app, the Magnificence Mentor.
Love that. Yes. Love that. Just
So
have
because of that I can get my message out, yeah, worldwide,
world.
to people that I may never ever actually meet.
Right, exactly. So I want to go back to something, and then we'll dive into the app, because I too have an app, and I love what we can do now with the app, the technology and getting the message out. I want to go back to this because I feel it's really a positive point to reinforce with our readers and with our viewers and our listeners, is what I heard you say is you had all this information that was like just kind of, I'm going to use my words here, is like floating around, right? And you were really in this place of wonder and curiosity about what this can mean, what it meant to you, and how you can use what's showing up first for yourself, and then ultimately, how can I use this to serve other people? And it wasn't, I didn't hear you like thinking, trying to be really strategic about it, but more tapping in not using your head, but really using your heart and your body and your intuition to start to let the pieces draw together that were meant to come together. Would that be a accurate way to describe what I was picking
Well,
up from you?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the inner work, it can be messy
It is, for sure.
and unstructured and kind of like a vortex in a way. But the fascinating thing with going inward, whether you think it's your soul essence, your spirit, your heart-centered place, it's that higher and maybe highest part of us that leads us to really embrace what's right for us, what's true for us.
Yeah.
And to come to that place it gave me such a peace.
Mm.
And how can you live an ecstatic life? Well, it's important to be happy, and it's important to feel peace and joy and love and all those things. And it's kind of the opposite of the fear, the worry, the doubt, the criticism, the all those things that debilitate us. And so it was just flipping that over.
Right.
And yeah, but it comes from within. There's no question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you find that you spend more time listening to that inner wisdom versus thinking, or a different shift from how it was prior to the cancer and prior to the near death experience? Or
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's that's such an important piece. And in order to do that, at one point, I literally had to tell the chatter in my head to just shut up. There was all these voices coming at me to the point where I felt immobilized, like I couldn't even make a decision about whether to have coffee or tea or go to the bathroom. So, and I'm going, who's talking to me? Because
yeah.
this wasn't me. And of course, a lot of them were voices out of the past, the shoulda, woulda, coulda, opinions and thoughts that had really nothing to do with me or what was important to me. So I went on a little campaign where I would just actively just tell this voice to just go somewhere else. And eventually it quieted and it dialed down to the point where then I could listen to my own inner voice easier.
I love that. And that, as you're sharing your story, I'm remembering those pivotal moments in my life when I started making that shift and calming that anxious, nervous, always going on the lookout for danger, part of me, and took back the power in my life and said, no, I've got this, and we're safe. We're okay. There's no lions or tigers lurking.
That's
Nobody's
right.
going to come jump out and get us. And that was such a powerful shift for me to make in my healing journey. That you talked about peace. You talked about, really being able to connect with that wisdom. And I saw for myself, that's where a lot of things started to fall in place for me. It started to unfold in a really beautiful way. And maybe would be another way you would describe it, is things started to unfold versus me making something happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Feel that. Okay, good.
Well, sure. Yeah, because we can. There's nothing wrong with making plans and setting goals and so on, but if you don't have a pretty strong connection with that inner knowing, then you can miss the boat lots of times. I spent a lot of years paddling upstream.
It's all learning opportunities too, right?
It was, and I learned, and finally I
Yeah.
turned my boat around.
Yeah.
And so now, for a while I was practicing paddling downstream and life was getting better.
Right.
And then at some point, inner wisdom said, Sue, what if you left your paddles on the shore and allowed the current to take you?
Ooh, I love that.
And I'm going,
I love that.
what? Okay, maybe I could do that. Well, I have to say that at first, and still sometimes I'm gripping the sides of the boat so that I don't reach for a paddle.
Yeah. So how has your life changed since you let go of those paddles?
Oh my goodness. A whole world has opened up of joy and peace. And my days now I'm so grateful. I just, I live my life pretty much the way I want to live it. And I have a great sense of accomplishment, my creativity. I moved to Winnipeg 2 years ago, and actually I needed to update my bio with you because I just moved back to Edmonton, where I'm from originally. But those 2 years in Winnipeg were like the best sabbatical I ever could have had, because I learned to play there. Like I learned how to just have fun, which I hadn't I sort of once in a while would have fun in between obligations. But what if you could just have fun? And so I did. And that was so cool. Well, while I was having fun, I was probably the most creative that I have been in a long, long time, because I was in a place where I had very few responsibilities. I didn't know very many people, so I could pick and choose exactly how I spent my time. Well, that was a luxury that I had not experienced before.
I love it.
So it was great. And so now, the whole technological world opened up to me, and which was pretty daunting because I always considered myself the low-tech tool in the high-tech shed.
I think I've heard you say that before.
They're talking about all of this technical stuff, and I'm going, what?
Yeah.
But I've learned, I realized that I'm quite capable of learning all this stuff, and still have to kind of get past the fear and the hesitation, but that's where I tapped into. I just go back into that inner. So the other day I was struggling to upload some book content to Kindle publishing, and I had never done it. I had always paid somebody else to do that before. So I had this little moment where I just went in and I said, okay, could we just make this really simple and easy and kind of fun to do? And I just left it there. I just, had this thought. And then a few minutes later, I worked away doing a bunch of other things. And then finally, I couldn't procrastinate any longer. I sat down at my computer And I opened up the file, I put the password in, and then everything just worked. It was so simple, I couldn't believe it. And I'm going,
I
ah.
love it. You set a beautiful intention for yourself, right? You put it out there that this is how I desire for it to go, and you were patient and you just let it happen that way. That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
So
And
speaking of technology, I would love to head back to your Magnificence Mentor app, and I would love to hear how that came out about to be, and what is your intention, your vision, or your plan to how to use this to support other people and having a little bit of heaven on earth.
yes, absolutely. Well, the universe decided to just drop an email into my inbox one time connecting with the app world that I knew nothing about, and but had some intrigue about. It intrigued me, and I'm kind of, well, what's this world all about? And step by step, I was shown how one person, like, I'm not Safeway, I'm not, Costco, I don't why would I need an app?
Yeah.
And then the idea of, well, if I want to get my message out. And so the more I worked in that arena, and then, okay, well, what kind of an app what would be the title and what would be the content and so on. And I'm going, well, wait a minute. I want this whole magnificence idea to catch hold,
Mm.
because I think there's always an education process first for people to wrap their head around the idea. So now I have this lovely, so it's a free download from either Google Play or Apple, and people can tap in and sign up and get all this content. So it's filled with free content for people to learn everything from how to be your own best friend step by step with a
Mm.
bunch of exercises, right through to magnificence moments where we think about, well, what's in the way of us having a magnificence moment, and how would we get through that, whether the topic is fear or worry or something that challenges us. How would we do that? So I challenged myself to do 30 videos in 30 days, so one a day for
I
30
love
days.
it. I love it.
It was a bit of a stretch, and
Always.
they were just short clips, and I got used to seeing myself on camera for one thing, which was certainly an interesting challenge, and I have no particular tech support for that. I mean, I had my a really good camera in my phone, and I just held it up and started talking and practiced a little bit until I felt more comfortable. And then I thought, you know what? It's good enough. If I stumble over a couple of words, oh well, that's life. So that's been fun. And I guess my plan is I've started uploading. I have one e-course that's about to launch
Fantastic.
called 3 Tools to Become Magnificently Calm.
Ooh, beautiful.
And in light of what's going on in our world right now, stress levels have never been higher, I suspect. And we need the tools. We need to know the tools. And so that's part of the process for people who say, okay, I want more. I've
Mhm.
gone through the different articles, videos, lessons that are in the app, and I'd like to engage in a different way. The second course, which I'm in the process of uploading, is about creating your brand of heaven on earth. Like, how would you go about doing that?
Beautiful. Well, I'll make sure in wherever I have this posted, and I know I'm going to post it in multiple places, including my app. I will have you
Yes.
in my directory with a link to your website and whatever else. We'll talk offline about that. But it sounds like it's a perfectly timed program for people to tap into, because as you said, we've certainly both had our share of life experiences, as has everybody, that were the not fun ones, and
Yeah.
we've gotten through them and we've learned from them, and whatever is going on in our lives is as painful and uncomfortable as something can be,
Mhm.
I believe it's for our growth. And whenever I've had that perspective, as I've walked through that challenge, it's helped me to go through it with more grace and ease, and not have the resentment or the victimhood that can often occur when something unpleasant is going on. Would you
Oh,
share that belief with me?
oh, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
what we fail to realize is there are always gifts to come from any adversity. And even though I didn't know, for example, in the cancer adventure, what gifts there would be, I had hope. I had great hope that I can't be going through this for no reason. There must be something good on the other side. Now, I confess I'm the quintessential Pollyanna, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm the person that finds the silver lining in every black cloud,
right,
or
right,
at least I look for it. And
right.
so that's just me, and not everybody
Sure.
has that perspective maybe, but I watched and I waited, and sure enough, there were some incredible gifts that I don't think I would have had without having gone through what I went through.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, one thing, as I see you here on the screen, and feel into your energy and your everything about you, to me feels like radiance. And you are owning who you are. You are owning your journey with compassion and grace. You are owning what it is that's calling to you now, and you are honoring what that is and bringing it to life. So I love connecting with you and seeing and hearing. And to me, you are absolutely a radiant woman, a radiant
Yeah,
achiever, which is somebody who listens to what their heart and their soul is calling. Really pays attention to having that mindset of gratitude and appreciation and self-love. And then you step forward in life to share your gifts, to shine and bring your message. So the Magnificence Mentor app and your work in this area is definitely something that I resonate with, and I think is going to help with resonate and support so many people that are having a tough time, or even someone that's doing well but really wants to like take it to the next level. So
absolutely.
um,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I want to wrap it up with this. If you could share for the viewers one piece of wisdom that is kind of a cornerstone thing for you, what would you like to share?
I would say start today and do a little inventory, or a scale of, say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love yourself?
Mm,
And if you're not at 10 or higher, then the exercise to help get you there is this. You write a list, so you number a page from 1 to 100, and you start at number 1 and you write down something that you love about yourself. And it can be anything. There's no limitations. You could say, "Whoa, oh, I love my ears," or "I love my new glasses that I picked out." I love the fact that I cook in the kitchen every day, and I make delicious meals. I love the fact that I'm loyal, and I have integrity. I mean, all of those things. And of course, we get stuck when we're doing the list. I was given this list when I was in my 20s. Oh man, did I have a hard time with that. But when I got stuck, I'd turn to somebody that I trusted and I'd say, "Could you tell me something that you like about me? Like, what's a good point about me?" Well, they not only give me one, in some cases, they give me a half a dozen, and then I'm off on the list again. Well, by the time you get to 100, then it sinks in. Wow, I'm a whole lot more than I thought I was. And then you just start to embrace that and then go on to 200, 300. You just keep going because we are that magnificent.
that's a powerful exercise. Powerful exercise. And powerful thing to do is that self-love, self-appreciation is pivotal in creating heaven on earth for ourselves,
No
truly.
question. No question. Absolutely.
Well, Sue, I will. Is there, besides your app, is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners or viewers on how to
Well,
connect with you, maybe?
on how to connect with me, my website is www.yourmagnificencementor.com. So you can find me that way. I think I have a link on there if you wanted to send me a note. You can email me through there. And I just love to connect with anybody who just wants to reach out. So it would be so fun. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Sue, for your time. I so enjoyed our conversation here, and I know we're going to have many more because we have a very
Oh, absolutely.
beliefs, and it's I'm going to get ready to yeah, so have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to sharing this message with all of my tribe, and continue for wishing you all the best as you continue to be that radiant leader that you are, and to truly in such a heartfelt way connect with the world.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Oh,
It was
thank
an
you.
absolute delight.
Oh, good. All right. Bye.
Bye for now.